Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I just had a couple of thoughts in my mind. Of course, there's always a lot of things going on. And I realized in this life that we live each and every day, what is the purpose of your life? I mean, what you are here to do? There's a lot of questions that are going to lead up to my son visited me during his break here in college for a week. And I told him over and over again that this life is really all about money. When you really get to the bare bones of it, you're going to have all these different experiences. You're going to love people. You may even hate people. You're going to go on adventures and journeys. There's a lot of things you're going to be able to do in your life, but I had to tell my son the reality of things. That majority of things in the modern day world is geared, and the foundation is money. Something of monetary value, compensatory payments or funds. Everything is related and essentially tied to money. There's no getting around it. Majority of the people in today's world do not want to go out and live in the bush and the woods and camping and forever. They may want to do it for a short period of time, but majority of people want to live in the modern day world. They want to drive nice cars. They want to have nice places to live. They want to enjoy different types of food, venues, events, functions, etc. And all of that essentially takes money. I told him everything is geared around money. Everything, even the love of your girlfriend, even the love of your boyfriend, even the love of your husband or your wife is somewhat geared around money. And that's the reality of things. And if we don't come to grips that everything is related around money and that you should be doing your damnedest to obtain as much as you can while you're on this earth, then you're going to miss the mark. You're going to miss the point. Now, how much does it take for you and a family of 4 to live comfortably in America or a country that you choose? That's the first feat. The second feat is, how are you going to continue to have that money to come in? How old are you going to be? How old will you live? Do you have certain things in your life set up for success and your family's success? Good evening. Let me make sure got someone saying my mic is not well. Let me check here. Test. Let me know if you guys can hear me. My mic seems to be okay. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Maybe I need to put it up closer to my mouth. But in today's life, gentlemen and ladies, we first need to understand our purpose and be very focused on that purpose. All right, thanks, Jerome. Appreciate that. We need to be very, very focused on our purpose because we lose track. We get distracted very, very easily. Now, I'm going to tell you first and foremost, guys, and I'm going to speak to the ladies as well. Guys, for the most part, majority of our distractions come from ladies, come from women. That is the majority of our distractions. Now, I told my son that through life, if you don't get, married out of college or married very early, you're going to date multiple women. And it depends where you are psychologically that those women do not distract you from your purpose and your goals. Why do I say that? For the most part, women can date and still be focused, hard driven on their goals. See, sometimes our problem, gentlemen, is that we go out and we're chasing panties and they're chasing dollars. Where I know there's a lot of prominent black men that do this, but I think that a large portion of us are chasing skirts versus digits. I mean, there's some things that we need to be on focus and not distracted about because we know how this world is ran. Every single thing that you have, other than the body you was born with, costs you money. Your shirt, your underwear. I mean, down to the bare bones of anything that you have, it costs you money. So in this life, you only have one to live, but there's plenty of experiences. There's plenty of things that you can do to set up your life. Now, I realized growing up in Washington, D.C., how tunnel vision I was. I was tunnel vision. I was sheltered. And when I mean sheltered, by my city. That's the only thing I knew. The styles we wore, the food we ate, how we spoke about things. And I realized in my community, unfortunately, and I only can speak about, DC in a sense, that a lot of us, whether going through high school or college, never wanted to become more intelligent. That was never a conversation. We never wanted to become more intelligent, right? And some people are like, what do you mean by that? I never really seen people in my community pick up a book, went to a function or event just for the experience, just to gain insight and intellect, just to think about things very critically. And we're so hard pressed to do things very quickly, right? Especially this generation. We're talking about, I think we're Generation Z now. To do things very quickly, in social media and other forms of technology has increased exponentially to the point where we can get all our answers in a matter of seconds versus going to research and read. The one thing that I've learned in reading books is not just the author, not just what the author made the book about, but the context within the book of how that author rationalized their point. And whether it be based on fact or fiction, I'm obtaining their knowledge. I'm attaining their experience. And then I'm jumble it around and master it and spit it out and regurgitate it in a very different way than probably that person. Now, some people, I stay on point with their information and context within their books and journals and things. But there's some people that I may not agree with totally, that I still go and read their material to obtain that knowledge. Like, I don't agree with Dave Ramsey about having zero debt, okay? Where I read other books where people are using debt to generate wealth. And believe me, a lot of your millionaires and billionaires have done this very thing. They have done that very thing. They have went out and used debt as a vehicle and machine to create wealth, to make them wealthy, to make them rich. But I still listen to Dave Ramsey. How are you going to take power of yourself if you don't know yourself? How are you going to take power of yourself if you're not one of the most intelligent people in the room? The one thing I've noticed is people say, oh, I'm working on myself. What is that? If someone, now, I don't know if you ever told anyone that I'm working on myself. What are you working on yourself doing? Because you should always be working on yourself. See, that's the one difference that I've seen, that the women who are on their purpose and on their goals, they're not easily distracted by chasing penis. They're not. But men, I know, I'm in your community, that sometimes we get distracted from this girl and that woman and that lady and her and it. That's what we do. We we get very distracted, and then the amount of time that we spend chasing skirts, if we were to study, research, grind, slay the dragon, whatever term, kill the nanny, whatever term you want to use, we're wasting our time. Because instead of her dealing with 3, 4, 5 men, she's dealing with you, and that's it. But you're always busy with all these other ones. In this life, you have multiple chances to get it right. You have multiple chances to get it right. When people give you relevant information, right, that will grow your bank account, that will metamorphosize your mind to think of things you never thought before. The one thing I can tell you, fellas, is read and travel. And that goes for the lady as well. Ladies, read and travel. Those are the two most beneficial things that I've done in my life to make me more than I ever would have been if I was just a dude that stayed in DC. Traveling and reading were the most beneficial things that skyrocket, the way I think about things, the way I look about things, whether it be certain people or certain situations, certain studies. How about this? Did you know there's a study out there? I think his last name is Rushton. And basically he said that all of these tests that were conducted with black people and white people scored 10 points or higher on the IQ test. And he said, we're not just saying white people are smarter than black people, right? That's kind of what he was getting at. In the end, he said the reason why white people are smarter than black people on average, not every single white person is smarter than every single black person, no, but on average is because white people have larger heads. That's what he said. He said because white people have larger heads. You want me to look that up for you guys? Let me see if I can find this guy. I know some of you may be familiar with his work. Dealing with a different computer, was having technical difficulties. I guess I have a speech impediment too. Can I get this out? Let me see where this guy at. Let me see here. Give me 1 second. I mean, this is important to know because in this life, if every single thing that you read, a headline, deters you from your goal or purpose, or a female or a male or family situation, you realize you're always going to be in the same position you've always been in. That is what's going to occur, family. You're always going to be in the same situation you always been in. Now, things like this will deter some of us. Let me help you out here. It says cranial volume has been estimated from external head size measurements. Okay. Then it speaks about Rushton here. He said he also calculated average cranial capacities for East Asians, whites, and blacks from a stratified random sample of 6,300 U.S. Army personnel, right? And then he goes on to say, East Asians assessed in North America and Pacific Rim countries average IQs in the range of 101 to 111 with a medium score of 106. Europeans in North America, Europe, Australia, Asia, and South Africa average, and he had to put in South Africa because there's a lot of white people that live in South Africa, right? Let me get there. He says scored an average IQ score of 85 to 115 with a median of 100. Then he said African descended people in North America, the Caribbean, and Europe, as well as Africa, average IQ from 70 to 90. So this is that pseudoscience, white supremacy sector of America. I'm building here because I'm also telling you about in this life, how there's certain things I believe that we need to do in order to be on our purpose and our goal and to be well off. Okay. To be well off. There's a lot of us doing horribly bad financially, horribly bad psychologically. There's a lot of our people who are in turmoil, and a lot of it is because we don't read and we don't travel. And the reason why I put those in tandem is because before I go to a certain place, I read all I can about that certain place, right? Just to have some sort of a cultural neutrality or cultural base, not to go in as a dumbfounded gringo or dumbfounded American, okay? But things like this that circle the globe, you guys will never be about or know about, because they're stating here that we're the dumbest people in the world. We're the dumbest people in the world. That's what they're saying. They said African descended people in North America, that's you Black Americans, Caribbean people, that's the whole entire Caribbean, Europe, that's in Europe, and as well as Africa. They didn't name every Black person on the planet and said, all you guys are the dumbest group of people, and your IQ score is 7 to 90. It's not even, it's 10 points less than the dumbest European on average. So that's one study. I'm just giving you an example. That's one study. But then, did you know that there are studies that state that your brain, your cranial size, your head, the size of it has nothing to do with intelligence? They speak about the wrinkles and they speak about the creases that formulate in your brain. And that essentially, you get a great deal of them as you're being born because all of the experiences. And throughout your life, there's other wrinkles and creases that develop inside your brain. So it's basically saying if you got a small head, you dumb. And the majority of people who got small heads are Black people. Right? So the average the average head size of a man is 57 centimeters, I believe. 57 centimeters is the average size of a head for a man. Now, my head size is 56 and a half centimeters. My son's head size at the age of 10 is 53 centimeters. That boy got a big head, so he must be real smart too. Maybe, no, I'm just kidding. That's his head size, seriously. But I don't believe that has nothing to do with his intelligence. But if we don't read, family, we wouldn't know this information. Because in this life, you only have one, but there's many experiences that you can have. Because at the end of the day, some of us might not care the mark we made on life. Some of us may want to leave generational wealth. Some of us, like myself, I like to have a purpose. If not, I'm just going to go absolutely nuts. Some people's purpose is taking care of their family or taking care of a loved one who's not doing so well. But nonetheless, family in this life, you only have one of them. And what are you doing with yours? See, the great thing about social media for people who are not inspired or motivated about things, on social media, it's a fantasy world, right? You're living in your own reality, but social media, you're seeing people driving nice cars, flashing tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? You're also seeing people living in the most lavish houses on yachts. You're watching their life because your life is crap. Your life is stagnant. Your life is paralyzed. And it's all because of you. Seriously. Now, granted, for people who have any sort of ailments of any sort, I understand, right? And I'm talking about like physical or mental ailments that really prevent you from doing something. I ain't talking about because you have high blood pressure, okay? I'm not talking about because you got a hurt shoulder. No. You know what I'm talking about. I want you to think about your purpose. Where are your goals at? And a lot of people never like these videos I give when I'm talking about reading books They're like, oh, let me get out of here reading books. No one read books anymore. Don't get me wrong. Of course, that's not, all inclusive. But a lot of people, do not read books anymore. We're the one group that needs to read the most books. And it's not to really obtain information that's not needed, but just to understand how this world works. Because we understand that capitalism and white supremacy go hand in hand. So as you get to learn about finances, when you get to learn about economics, you start to really understand, comprehend, and learn how white supremacy works globally. Doesn't matter where you are. You start to understand it. Now, I made a comment on a video. I think I misspoke. I said something really idiotic, really stupid. I think I said that we can't fight white supremacy. That's absolutely false. We can fight white supremacy, but the one thing that I won't go back on is I believe white supremacy will be around long after I'm gone and long after my son is gone. My 10-year-old, my 20-year-old son is going to be still here, but that doesn't mean that we can't stop it or we can't slow it down. Indeed, we can. But the one thing, family, you have to understand is, how is the system ran? Who is part of the system? What groups? Because I can make this very easy. The people behind the system of white supremacy are the governments in place. Governments in place and big businesses. Why do I say that? Did you know that Fortune 500 companies, they can essentially say, we're going to shut down our business. We're not going to hire anyone. People want to lay everybody off because we're tired of Black people getting the short end of the stick. We're tired of discrimination. We're tired of racism. We're just tired of it. We're tired of the system of white supremacy. So what we're going to do is, all the Fortune 500 businesses, we're just going to shut down until y'all start making rules, laws, bills, legislation to support and help Black people. Second of all, which I know they're not going to do this, not only are we going to give up a large sum, we're going to give up $14 trillion for reparations for Black people, but we also want the government to give up $14 trillion. Okay. And we want you to hand out $650,000 to every Black person. Well, but wait, there's more. We're going to help support businesses. We're going to help support social programs and economic, so we can understand how the financial systems work more. We're going to mirror our great schools and make their schools great. There's so many things that they could absolutely do, but I realized, why do that? Why would they do that? They benefit in the system of white supremacy. And the only thing they have to do in order not to seem racist is support some Black programs and hire a couple of Negroes and say, look, we're not racist, but this is your life, right? See, a lot of people ask me, why didn't you move back to DC? I said, no. I know that environment. I know how people operate. And DC is a great place, don't get me wrong, but I needed to be free of the shackles that bind me. Because when I realized, when you're from a very culturally enriched city, you are so oblivious to the world. And that's why, not just going to Mexico, not just going to Caribbean, but going to South America, going to Africa, going to Asia and Europe, and see how those people operate. And the more you understand about money, the more you understand about white supremacy, and you'll start to learn a lot more about yourself. I mean, the word ratchet, it goes tenfold with me, because the world is ratchet. In each country I've been to, there has been a lower class of people, right, of their kind. And the issue with this is, you can go over as a rich Black guy to one of these countries and you're under the lowest person when it comes to their social economic placement, even though they're poor. Now, of course, some of you are going to say, well, when I go to other countries where the dollar is 10 times the amount, I'm treated like a king. Yeah, of course you are. That goes without saying. What is the purpose of your fucking life, man? What is the purpose? What are you doing with it? Because in this life, there's a lot. We went to Dallas last week. In Dallas, the inner city part is similar to DC, New York, all the major cities where a lot of black people live. And it's depressing as hell. I know it's easy to blame the system of white supremacy because that is the main reason why a lot of our people are in our conditions, and we're still suffering from those conditions. I know a lot of people will bring up post-traumatic slave syndrome, right? Because a lot of those inherent traits and our thoughts about how we think about things were essentially passed down, okay? Were essentially passed down from our ancestors, from our grandfathers and grandmothers, and so on and so forth. But my point is, when do we stop? When do we evolve? When do we say, okay, granted, okay, there's a lot of racist people out here, not just white people. I mean, racist Hispanics, racist Asians, racist, black people. Yeah, those cones and sambos, they have a form of vitriol for black Americans, right? And I won't get into the whole immigrant thing, and I won't get into that. But what I will get into is that, again, family, if you're not doing your damnedest to elevate your status and your place, then you're doing yourself a great injustice by blaming racism and discrimination. You know what, though? If I could name the most successful system in the world, it would be the system of white supremacy. You know why? Because they have developed a system where they can take a group of people and destroy them in all activities of life. They can destroy. They have been destroying us. They've been destroying us physically. We unfortunately, in higher rates in some cities, kill one another. Right? Then we have a negative mindset about our brother and sister, about when they're trying to go off and do something great, we speak negatively about them. Here's another thing, and I had to really think about this for a moment. When I was growing up in the hood in DC, why were we trying to wear the most expensive clothes? And I know this goes in most black neighborhoods. Here you are living in the same conditions, roach infested apartments, but we're all trying to look better than each other, right? And I know we're very fashionable people, but our mindsets were broken because we saw a class where they develop a system for us to be the underclass while they're living the best life that they can be. But it's one thing they never could take away from us was our unity, but the unity is no longer there. See, we have to go way, 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 way back to the early and mid 1900s. And we speak about the Black Wall Streets. We talk about the Greenwood District. We talk about Harlem and Little Harlem and Raleigh Durham and Atlanta. We talk about all of these Black Wall Streets and Black business districts. But today, we have a niggerish mindset about how we go about to achieve greatness. We practiced group economics back then. We bartered with each other to build business, to be an economic powerhouse for ourselves. These are the things that we have done. But now you can't really find a Black business district or a Black Wall Street, so to speak, because our group economics have not been practiced since the 50s. Our group economics have been destroyed in all areas of human activities. When it comes to social media, I automatically think about sex. I think about how our women are exploiting each other, right? And some of them on OnlyFans page are getting paid. They're using it as a compensatory system to get monetary funds. I get that, but what is it doing to our people in general? Because again, in this life, you only have one. We're all going to get old. I don't see people partnering with other people of their community or other people they can find that look like them to build. You go in Asian nail salons, right? Half of them be family. Half of them be family. We can't get on code to build a family business. We can't get on code to build community businesses. And that's a mindset. That's a mindset that can absolutely be broken. Because here's the thing, family. The more we operate in this system of white supremacy, and the more of you that don't realize that you have been assimilated into white culture, then what I'm talking about would never come to fruition. It would never come to pass. This would never happen. Because either you're grinded, sound hustling, or you just sitting at home watching TV all day, eating knickknacks. But you're telling yourself, oh, I want to make more money. I want to go to these places. How the hell are you going to make more money doing the same thing each and every day? I mean, unless it's investing. People will tell me, Ross, I'm scared to invest. I said, why are you scared? Well, I might lose my money. Huh? Now, and I got it. They may not understand investing and how it works. But I said, you gamble, right? Well, I do a little scratch off every now and again. How often have you won? I haven't won yet. Okay. You gamble every day. How many times you had unprotected sex? Huge gamble, right? Huge gamble. But ladies and gentlemen, if you don't understand that everything in this world, everything, I hate to say it, but everything in this world, it's about money. People you subscribe to, money. Every single thing. Prove me wrong. Your love for someone. 9 times out of 10 is based on money, unless it's from your mother or father. Whether you live in a house, apartment, trailer park, a condo, it's about money. Every single thing in that thing is about money. And if you're not trying to find new ways on how to earn more money, double your money, then everything that you're talking amongst your friends, everything that you guys are talking about, plans that you have for the future, you got your vision board up, none of that don't mean anything. You're just talking. You're just talking. I hear people all the time, hey man, show me how to get up on this money. Huh? Listen, I tell people this. Rich people think in one way. They don't think about how harder they can work. They don't think about that. They don't think about, okay, if I work super hard, then I'll be rich. No. They flip this strip, right? And here's the thing about reading books again. What I'm about to give you are nuggets of information. Reading from a book like The Intelligent Investor or Unthinkable or was it Grow Rich, A Black Choice by Dennis Kimbro? Books like that. Rich people think about, how can I do less work and have people to work for me to make me millions of dollars? See, here's the thing. If you notice, most rich people don't work hard. So, and we can move into politics, we make them out to be demons and devils. It don't matter what color they are. Unless we idolize them, right? But we envy rich people because we can't figure out how they became rich. And I'm not just talking about in the Black community as far as entertainers, athletes, actors, and actresses. No, I'm talking about black businessmen who figured something out in order to be rich. We envy that. We become jealous instead of what did you do to get there? And then the other question you have to ask yourself, are you willing to do those things? Because here's the thing. I hate, sometimes when you receive good information about how you can grow your bank account and do better financially in life, it's like a church sermon. You go every Sunday and the preacher charging you up, praise God, praise. You're like, yeah, Pastor, yeah. As soon as your ass leave, everything he spoke about, you're like, what was that? That was a good sermon today. What was it about? It was about it was in Ecclesiastics. Because we talk about it, but we don't execute. We talk about it, but we don't go out and do it. We talk about it, but we don't make a plan and execute the plan. We don't do these things, family. Charles Williams says Black Labor, White Wealth is a great book to invest in. Also, I have that book as well. Also, Powernomics. I had to look back. I know I got a couple of books behind me. Family, I'm not telling you to read 1,000 books. There's a couple of books that I might, make a list of 10 books that you need to read, in an entire year. And here's the thing, family. There's apps that I read for 30 minutes. I'm done. You know what I'm saying? I go in the bathroom. I ain't gonna tell you what I'm doing in the bathroom, but I go in the bathroom and I'll pop out my book and I'll read 10, 11 pages, but a total of 30 minutes a day. And the amount of information that you can retain is a lot greater because you're not being distracted because you read so long. So I'm just reading like 30 minutes. And then I meditate, which some people laugh at, for 5 minutes a day. And the reason why they laugh at it because like 5 minutes is not really meditation. It is. Everything is off. I'm quiet. I'm sitting down. I'm gathering my thoughts, right? I'm trying not to think about something. And then boom, the epiphany happens. And going back to this study, how Black people are essentially stupid and dumb because we have small cranial sizes and these tests. And I want to talk about these tests. Where is it at? Give me one. Here we go. Give me 1 second. I think I passed it. Give me 1 second, family. Where are we? 1 second here. Right here. We have these low IQ scores, right? Why is that? Now, I went on a Twitter space the other day, and there was a group of people speaking about this very same thing, which kind of sparked this particular segment of this, of how every group scores higher on their IQ test than African American. I keep losing my spot. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. I keep losing my spot. Give me 1 second, family. All right, here we go. Cognitive ability right here. East Asian score 101 to 111 on their IQ test. Average score of 106. White people, Australian people, 85 to 115. An average of 100. And then all Black people around the globe, 70 to 90. And they don't even give us an average. This is the system of white supremacy, especially if you believe this. So going back to my point, rich people, they think about how they can work less and make more money versus us thinking that the harder I work, the more that I make. And in some cases, of course, that's true. But their long-term goal is to do less work and have more people to work for them so they can continue to generate money. And then they start another business and another business, so on and so forth. But you can't just go off with the dominant white supremacy society tells us. And this is the importance of education. This is the importance of understanding economics. This is the importance of understanding how the system is ran. Because if you didn't know how the system is ran, ladies and gentlemen, soon as I say this very next thing, I'm going to see people drop off the feet. You know why? because this is a very psychological and social matter that majority of the Black community are Democrats, unfortunately, right? And I know I'm gonna lose some people there because you guys rock hard for the Democrats, and that's perfectly fine, especially when you're in support of the system of white supremacy. A lot of us believe that we have to continue to build economic wealth in order to have some political power. And time again, I tell people the most powerful thing as a group that we have is our vote. Let's just take, for instance, that in America, there's 40 million foundational Black Americans. And we all became unified. We had no special interests. We just like, you know what? Fuck it. We want reparations. I don't care what, if you're a doctor, lawyer, I don't care if we just say we want reparations and none of us going to vote. How fast do you think we'll get reparations? Anybody? Now, me personally, as they are increasing the population of the buffer classes, okay, like the East Asians, the Afghans, and the white Hispanics, the longer we wait, we'll be unrecognizably, socially, economically distraught and poor. We won't even be at the current poverty class we're at. We'll be under poverty, if that's such a thing. Somebody told you that vote Democrat, the guys with the blue lapel pin, or vote Republican, the guys with the red lapel pin, that they're going to give us universal health care, universal college education. How does that help Black people on a whole? That doesn't help the wealth gap at all. Because essentially, did you know the most in, I don't know if you guys knew the statistic, when it comes to college age students who are currently in college, do you know the one group of people who are the most in debt? Black women. Now, statistically, Black women go to college more so than Black men. And out of all the other groups, Black women are the most in debt. See, in this society, white supremacy operates a lot of times through our women. I ask myself, when Kamala Harris got elected, I said selected, but everybody knows what that means too. When she got elected, and I started looking at her cabinet of the majority of, Black women she had, the first thing I asked was, where are the Black men? Like they have convinced our women that they're above the men. That's what they have convinced. They have convinced the women that they're above the men. Also, they're convinced the women that they make more money than the men. Now, on average, Black men make more money than Black women. But you'll talk to some sisters, and that's what they believe. And believe me, this video is not going against our Black women. I'm just calling a spade a spade. And then somehow this social political structure has turned our women against our men. So now we're divided. And how did they do that? They did it very, very easily. They started to lift the Black woman over the Black man and speak so much rhetoric to them that they started to look down on Black men. Instead of, now granted, there are some sisters out there like, no, we're not above our men. They actually speak up for the Black male community. But again, this is the many ways of how white supremacy operates around the world. Now, there's no excuse for us, fellas, not to be on our purpose and be on our goal, because I see a lot of Black prominent men, but for the mass majority of us, we're not doing so well. Politics. How do politics control the Black community? Well, I can sum this up because I'm not that intelligent. I know a couple of words. They lie to you. And it's not like they lie directly. They hint on a couple of things. Remember Joe Biden stating that because the 87% of the black vote went to him, that he had our back. What does that mean? See, when I do these cigar talks, sometimes, fellas and ladies, that I point out how the Democratic Party undermines us every election, whether it be state or federal. And a lot of us are so brainwashed because of our parents and because of our friends and because of different groups we belong to. Because we understand that now my son, I'm not going to put his name out there, but he's a Kappa, right? And we were speaking about black fraternities and black sororities. And basically, in some essence, those fraternities and sororities are Democratic meals. They just generate Democrats. They just generate Democrats. I'm speaking about HBCUs too. How we can combat this? There's really only a couple of ways to combat political racism, social racism. Is understanding how it operates and then not allowing it to happen. Year after year, we vote Democrat, 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 Democrat. I think starting from Lyndon B. Johnson, or is that when Martin Luther King? I believe so. Because prior to then, we were voting Republican because majority of black people, if we gave you a test, majority of black people would be conservative, meaning that you would be a Republican. Let me back up a little bit, though. Let me back up a little bit. Anytime you bring up the 1994 crime bill, the 1986 anti-drug, whatever bill it was, automatically hardcore black Democrats start to build a wall. And they said, nope, that was such a long time ago. Soon as you bring up, and again, I'm apolitical. I'm not Republican or Democrat. Soon as you bring up Donald Trump, they say, well, he's racist. And I say, prove it. Well, he got sued because of discrimination in his apartments. How many black people did that affect? Let's just say, for instance, it affected 500 black people. Well, because of Joe Biden's legislation, over 100,000 black men were incarcerated. And believe me, the numbers that are coming out are staggering. Do you know that they came out with a number that a third of the black men who were incarcerated for over 15, 20 years are innocent? Drugs was planted on them. They were wrongfully accused. Did you know almost a third, if not more? But then again, we vote Democrat. The other day, I showed a picture of Joe Biden with Robert Byrd. He used to be one of the grand cyclops of the KKK. I'm just making some comparisons here. So we bring up a couple of things about Donald Trump. And then I'm seeing large legislation that affect hundreds of thousands of black people versus 500. But somehow the Democratic political party manipulated, once again, black people to say, this guy's horrible for the country. This guy's this, which again, I agree, but none of them are good for the country. But then they will convince our people, and especially our women, that, oh, you have to vote. right? If you want the country to be under this tyrant, this dictator, you have to vote him out. Oh, it's your ancestors, the blood and sweat and tears of your ancestors to give you the privilege and the right to vote. This is how they get us, right? They make you feel guilty, like you have this duty. And the key word is you have the right to vote. You have the right to vote. Because here's the thing. I want you to think about this, family. Think about the last 4 presidents, whether it be Bush, Obama, Clinton, Trump, and Biden. Let's think about the last 5 or 6 presidents. Tell me on a global scale, tell me on a nationwide scale how they helped our communities, how they helped our people. Excuse me. But then we can easily break down how they helped every other community. Remember, now if you're over the age of 40, you'll know what I'm talking about. Excuse me. I remember living in DC, Chocolate City at the time, over 70% Black, where the majority of businesses in my neighborhood were Black. The candy store was Black. The laundromat was Black. Majority of the stores in my neighborhood was Black. Not just the barbershop. When I turned the age of 15, 16, 17, majority of the businesses in the Black neighborhood were Asian. How did that happen? And again, I show no racism, discrimination, or vitriol towards any other people, nor Asian, nor white, no one. I'm just speaking the facts. I'll just say this before, I don't want to break this down too much. They had government assistance. Just like the Afghans coming over here, they have government assistance. Yeah, I saw that bill was $11 billion. They're going to help each 100,000 plus Afghans with a place to live and anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 in their pocket. The only way the government gives you money is when you file taxes. The government takes 70%, you take your 30%. Going full circle, that brings me back to Fortune 500 businesses and other big businesses. This is how they contribute in a system of white supremacy. They don't pay taxes. They're like the lower class and the middle class pay majority of the taxes. Who writes the laws? Who writes the laws for taxes? Federal government, right? Because it's actually overseen by the Internal Revenue Service. So if the government writes the laws for taxes and we have a federal organization to oversee it, how is it that companies, see, not just Donald Trump, right, pay only $700. Some companies didn't pay any money at all in taxes, right? Again, and that's how we demonize certain people. They want us to stay an underclass. That's what they want us to stay, in poverty. And how do they do it? They scare us. They fear monger us. They tell us that all Republicans are racist. They tell us that the independents don't have the political power to do anything. But most importantly, they're the group that systematically, over and over again, puts us in the limousine, put us in the finest suit, feed us, drive us to the party, let us get out. They drive off, go around back, and go inside the party. And we can't get in. See, I say this all the time. I have an incy-bincy respect for Republicans. You know why? Republicans don't even entertain the fact of doing anything for Black people. They have their Republican shills like Kimberly Klacik and Candace Owens, people like that. Herschel Walker. They have people like that they're used to say, hey, we need a couple of black faces. We may snag, 3 to 5. We may even snag 20, 30% of the black vote. But all of them equally benefit from the system of white supremacy and use the white supremacy system in order to gain power, authority, and economic stability in their positions. Now, some people might say, well, this video, Ross, seems to be anti-voting. No, it's not. I'm not telling you not to vote. I think the main question is, what are you voting for? The very thing that you want to do, family, the very thing you want to do, you want to open your own business. You want to buy a house, right? But you don't understand that there's federal agencies that govern housing, like the FHA. No, it's not the FHA, but the FAHA, something like that. You have to look these things up. I have a lot on my mind. And how do you force politicians' hand? They're looking out for your support. They're looking out for your vote. Why do you think they go to black churches? Oh, my gosh. They use a black church system, again, to trick and manipulate black people because they know you're going to listen to your pastor. You're going to listen to your reverend. You sure is. I think that we should go. This would be a great candidate. They have everybody in the community at the church holding a town hall, cheesing and smiling with your pastors while slipping them a $10,000 to $50,000 check just to get your vote. Again, as Neely Fuller said, white supremacy operates in all human activities. They use religion. They use social media. They use technology. But again, you won't understand these things. You won't even recognize these things unless you read and have experiences or have a good teacher to break it down to you. But nonetheless, in order for you to be in this life and live a good one, is predicated upon what you know and where you're going to go. It's about the information and knowledge and wisdom that you have and will obtain and the experiences that you have. Because when I realized that group economics actually works, I started to try to find people to partner with, or they be my mentor. But again, there's a lot of us say, man, I work 14-hour days. I don't got time to read. I don't got time to do nothing. That's all you're doing is working. You're not growing. That's the only thing you working. A lot of you hate your jobs day in, day out, day in, day out. But you're not doing anything to change your condition. As a matter of fact, you may be working your butt off in order to attain a promotion. They're going to get 10 times more out of you than you ever would them financially. And I'm not telling you to leave your job. I'm just saying, what are you doing to grow yourself intellectually and monetarily? You ever heard of intellectual property, right? People getting paid for their thoughts, people getting paid for their ideas. Did you know at one point in time, I want to stop around 1930s, that a lot of inventions in the world came from melanated people, came from you and I. If you look up Black inventors, Black doctors, you will see all sorts of things that we have created, we've developed. Like, this is a one-off, Vivian Thomas. He invented a medical procedure to cure babies of the blue baby syndrome. Did y'all know that? I'm just speaking randomly because I want you to understand the power of information. And see, what I like to do is teach my sons about all the prominent inventors and engineers, right? And freedom fighters, people who are the part of the um, Black nationalist movement. If you don't teach yourself of who you are, then you do not understand your greatness. Not only did you come from a great people, but you are great yourself. And looking at things where people are telling you your IQ is from 70 to 90 simply because you're Black really doesn't mean anything. You know why? When I was in that Twitter space and they were talking about, well, there was a studies come out and Rushton was saying how if your hair is small, and that's the reason why Black people are dumb. Some of us are prone to believe that. And they were naming studies and journals and research and this and that. Then I said one thing. Who created the studies? Who created the research? Every single person was white. Every single person was white. Now, let's just say it's true. Let's just say it. We're the dumbest people on earth, or to be respectful, we have the lowest IQ in the world as a group, Black people. Then how in the hell did we invent all these great and wonderful things? So does your IQ really count? No. These IQ tests were set up for Caucasian and East Asian men and women. That's what these tests are geared around. Now, we have a lot of things in our community that prevents us, a lot of distractions, a lot of non-support in our community that prevents us from getting the best books, the best facilities, the best schools. We understand that this, what I'm speaking about, family, there are so many entities that prevent our people from being great. But everything that we suffer from, self-hate, the glorification of killing one another through, in some forms, music, as well as movies, as well as food. When the last time you seen a Panera Bread in the hood? Because we understand that majority of the low nutritional dense foods, those restaurants reside in the Black neighborhood. Popeyes, Burger King, McDonald's, Jack in the Box, etc. You saw going to the nicer areas where people who look the opposite skin color of you saw seeing Panera Breads and Starbucks and vegan places and whole food places, right? I know some people say, well, we put those restaurants in those neighborhoods, one or two things will happen. People won't pay those prices, one, and then two, that business will get destroyed. People will ransack it, rob it, etc., loot it. This system of white supremacy, family, is not a joke. And if you don't understand how it operates through economic organizations, political power structures, then anything that anyone tells you, you're not going to be able to receive it. You're not going to be able to comprehend it. Don't be afraid to move in with a loved one to save up money to go buy yourself a house. Don't be afraid to start a business with another melanated person. As long as you do things contractual, right? You have to protect yourself because not everybody is in for your own interests. See, I thought about this before. I thought about if you're doing, financially bad, and I know this is going to come hard to some people because you just can't fathom what I'm about to tell you. You ever just thought that you guys buy a house together? You and another gentleman, you and another lady, you or two couples buy a house together and build. And when that house attain, some really good value, you sell that house and then, or excuse me, you either sell that house or rent that house out. Very, very easy. You and two couples or you and another person buy a house together, right? You make sure that the house have two master suites or a master with a bathroom adjacent to it, whatever. And after 5 years, as you're saving your money, right? Because you're not wasting it renting out someplace. And you guys decide, are we going to sell it, split the difference, go buy our own home? Or do you want to rent it out and we become partners? There's so many ways to make money in this country. Why do you think everybody comes to America? Now, I can tell you why a lot of people come to America, especially when they don't have this melanation. It's because they get assistance from the government. And they know that. They get assistance from the government. I mean, I know millionaires who do real estate. I know millionaires who have trucking companies and cleaning companies. I know millionaires who own Kirby shops, general contractors. And a lot of things I'm telling you guys, how you decide hustle, I don't know what professional career that you're in. A lot of the things that we can do, family, doesn't take a long time. Doesn't take 4 years of college. It may take a license, a certification, or even a trade. You ever thought how easy plumbing can be? I'm just giving you an example. How easy plumbing can be. You take a plumber's course. You start working for a plumbing company so you can have hands-on experience. And then you start your own plumbing company. Or you become partners with that plumbing company. This is what I told my son. My son is now, well, today is his birthday. I have to call him, but he's turning 22 and he's finishing up his last year of undergrad. And he's going back to school for 2 years. I told him, okay, you have your undergrad in sports management, get your MBA, get your Master of Business Association so you can understand how business are ran, how businesses conduct business with, contracts, agreements, etc. You understand business. He wanted to get a master's in sports management. I was, you don't need that at a master's level. But nonetheless, I told him, if you live with me, you'll live here scot-free until you're 26 and a half years of age. And during that time, I will want you to have a job, save your money, so you can leave this home and buy yourself a house. Rather, most of us, when we left our homes, we moved into an apartment, didn't we? Or we moved in with a buddy or a friend or a girlfriend, right? We didn't go right into buying a home because in our community, they told us to push our kids out before they're ready. Push our kids out at 18. Push our kids out at 21. They're not ready for the world. Regardless if you think women mature faster than men, I struggled at a young age. You guys struggled at a young age. Why would you want your kids to struggle? And I know they're grown men and women. I know. But as long as they're following your rules inside your home, but this cultivation, this nurturing happens from a very young age. That you always got to keep money on their mind. My 10-year-old knows everything costs money. Everything is about money. He's took coding classes. I'm just saying there's preparation that needs to occur because in the system of white supremacy, it's going to be around for a very long time, family, unless we all wake up at the same damn time, which I don't think is going to happen. No time soon. But this is the nurturing cultivation of our young children that they need a lot of. But see, the reason why I gave him 26 and a half is understand that he has a deadline. That you won't just be living with mom and dad until you're 30. But I give him 4 years Save all your money. You know how much money you can save in 4 years? And during these 2 graduate years, when you come back from college, I want you to do internships. 2 things about internships. You have paid and unpaid internships. Now, regardless of the fact, I want him to start operating in his degree, in his skill set. And internships are a great way to get experience for free. Now, fortunately, he has his dad, he has his stepmom to depend on financially. He has somewhere to live, eat, etc. Versus I know a lot of our people don't have that same leadway. They don't have that same amount of money to support somebody, especially when they're grown. But I'm just giving you some ideas in case you are ever in this predicament or were in this predicament where you can give other people advice and information. Let me read some of your notes, family. I'm not ignoring you. I'm going to go back to the top. I see we have Jerome Jones, Jermaine Anderson, Prime X. Jay Young says, nah, we suck in our ways and we don't want to admit it. But you know what? It's funny you should say that. I thought the very same thing about my son. When he came to visit me, he told me about all the things he didn't eat. I don't eat that, Dad. I don't eat that. I don't eat that. And then when we gave it to him, he's like, oh, this is pretty good. We gave him butternut squash. He said, I don't eat squash. And then my wife, she put it in the oven and caramelized it. He's like, this tastes like sweet potatoes, like a squash. I'm just giving that example to let you know a lot of us are stuck in our ways about a lot of things. But unfortunately, that comes from our environments, right? We have a lot of traits and characteristics from our mother and father. Authentic 225 says all 9 areas of activity. That's right. Only a few of us figured it out and break the cycle by Jay Young. Charles Williams says integration destroyed what segregation produced. You are 1000% correct, sir. That's called assimilation. That's called white supremacy. That's called coons and sambos. Jay Young says we're just in the moment. And that's another thing. They're still talking about voting rights 100 years later. They talk about gerrymandering, changing zones, dividing the vote. How about we just wait till they offer black people like they did Asians, like they did Afghans, like they did Native Americans? What if we just did that? That's correct. Divide and conquer mentality. Jay Young says, is how many of us that don't pay attention to that? We don't. We just believe that's just the way it is and we can't do anything. And Charles Williams also commented about how the Democrats tell you what you want to hear. OG Ma says, black people are supposed to be a permanent underclass. This is all by design. That's why our financial literacy and self-education is most important. It is absolutely vital to our survival. And if we ever want to achieve something, we must understand finances. We must understand economics. And most importantly, we have to understand how the system of white supremacy operates. OG mods. What I mean, permanent underclass, I mean only receiving labor training, physical work slavery, never in it and just evolve. And that's the main reason why Seneca Valley and now even Austin, Texas, all these tech giant cities, that's why a majority of them are white and Asian. You see a couple of black people in there, but they're majority Asian and white. OG Mods, Ross, do you ever see an organization so powerful that it overthrows our government? Black empowerment. And I don't mean overthrow our government in any physical violence, none at all. You can very easily throw over this government, but it's going to take one thing that we don't have, and that's unity. And that's unity. We don't have unity. If we had unity, we can easily overthrow this government and get what we want and get what we're owed, just like every other group. This is how the other system works. We invented a lot. We don't get credit or financial benefit. All they did was claimed. And here's another thing. We don't get the same banking benefits, extensions of credit, as other groups get. But again, that makes me go back to group economics. So family, I got to go to family night here. It starts at 7 p.m. I'm a little bit over. But nonetheless, this was on my heart. I kind of stopped my Tuesday night cigar talks. I'm just doing them on Friday or Saturday evenings. But tomorrow, we're going to talk about some stocks. We're going to talk about solar stocks, solar panel stocks, Tesla, Solar City, Sunrun, SunPower. We're going to talk about those stocks. I was getting some things together before I came live. This was impromptu, but nonetheless, hopefully me rumbling here, trying to get my words together, that you guys picked up something that you guys can use. No excuses, man. No excuses. We have been born in the age of tyranny under the system of discrimination, racial bias, and how they go about operating in those things. And again, if you can learn about economics and how money generates and money, and read some books and have some experiences, then you'll understand the system of white supremacy. And when you understand something, then you can start to defeat it. They understand the most powerful group of people on this planet are highly melanated people. And when we unify, we can tumble and build anything. That's the most important thing we need to understand. And until a majority of us do that, we probably just need a third, maybe 25%. But until we do that, we're going to be the permanent underclass. We're going to be the permanent criminal class of America. With that being said, family, I see we got Calvin Martin in here, Thomas Sowell, Father Economics, as well as Dr. Claude Anderson. We have to mention that brother. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, family. Like I said, this is family night. Hopefully, you guys, got something from my commentary here. Again, this was impromptu, so excuse me not having all my thoughts together. But nonetheless, I hope that you guys got something out of it. Now, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. Also, if you're not a subscriber of Financial Literacy 101, please subscribe. Please give this video a like. Also, share this on your other social medias so we can get the word out. Not everybody takes the way I communicate, but there's a good number of you that like the way I communicate. But anyway, we'll play some music here and I'm going to get out of here. We'll see what you guys, I'm going to read your comments here. I see we got Jay Young. He says he's having a cigar with me. All right, I'm going to let this ride a little bit and I'm going to get out of here, family. Have a good night to everyone. Don't forget tonight they have a football game on. I don't know if you guys was aware of that. Tell somebody you love them. Tell somebody how you're going to empower them. Tell somebody how you're going to start a business with them. Tell somebody how you're going to legally hustle with them. Tell somebody how we can go about motivating other people that look like you and I so we can be in a better place. So we don't let our condition dictate our outcome. Don't let your environment give you the illusion that that's where you'll always be. A lot of it has to do with hard work, but most of it has to do with your intellect. And if you need to increase your intellect, then, well, a lot of those answers are lot of those answers are the experiences that you have. You guys have a great and wonderful night. I'm out.